exists because of British law, right? The fact that in the British Isles, anything with less than 3 wheels was not considered an automobile, so you didn't pay the automobile tax.
They're a cycle car.
Yeah. Because there really is no logical reason for having a 3-wheel car, other than to avoid paying a road tax or something. Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. The car we're featuring today, the new Morgan 3-wheeler. That's my last generation Morgan. That's my first generation Morgan. We'll discuss those briefly and then tell you what's different about the new one. It is a modern, totally redesigned automobile that's actually legal here in the United States. Let's meet Jonathan Wells. He's the Chief Design Officer, is that correct?
That's right. Good morning, Jay.
Well, good to see you. You know, I love this company. It's so quirky. My mother's from Scotland, so anything British Isles, I'm a sucker for. Motorcycles, cars, just, you know, it always makes me smile. I visited the Morgan factory. Just fascinating that this, I believe it is the oldest automobile company still in existence in Great Britain, isn't it correct?
In continuous production.
Yeah, continuous production since 1903.
1909.
And that guy's still waiting for his car. Yeah. No, but yeah, it's just, when you go to the factory, there's a kettle brewing here, and everybody just kind of goes, they know their jobs, they're craftsmen, they really do beautiful work. You just kind of have to wait a little while. You have to be patient. And that's, I mean, it's just so, it's so typical. It's the most British of British automobiles in that sense. Every quirky sort of character is in the factory, and it's just such a wonderful place. I got to drive in and around the streets around
Malvern?
Malvern, yeah.
Hills, yeah.
Malvern, yeah. It's just wonderful. And I imagine people in the area have generations of families that have worked at the factory.
That's right. You know, there's quite often father and son duos working together. Sometimes father, son, and grandfather all together as well, actually. So, yeah, it's a family business in many ways.
I mean, that's what I was friends with Sir Charles.
Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, Morgan, and he's the one that convinced me to buy that one. He didn't have to convince me. I got this one almost 40 years ago. This has the matchless V-twin 990 cc's, hairpin valve springs, all kind of water-cooled. This is the engine that was in the Bruff Superior motorcycle. So it's sort of a legendary motor, the JAP, which stands for J.A. Prestwick.
That's right.
You know, has not, people think you're making an ethnic reference or something. No,
not Japanese.
No, not Japanese. No, you mean J.A. Prestwick. And just a fascinating, fun thing to drive. This one has the optional reverse gear. Ooh, so you can back up. So it makes it kind of cool. It is just the most fun because 60 miles an hour feels like 150.
Yeah.
I always tell the story when I was on the road one day and I come flying around the corner, and I see the cop with a radar gun. He's got it aimed right at me. I go flying past him. So I go about a half a mile, just pull over and I wait, okay. And he doesn't come. So I turn around, I go back. I go, hey, how you doing? He goes, hey, how are you, Jay? I'm okay. What? Was I going too fast? He goes, no, speed was 40. You're going 37. You're right. 37? I thought I was doing like 70 miles an hour. He goes, no, you're only doing 37. And I said, oh, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you, officer. But it was, I was having a lot of fun, the noise, the banging.
Not much has changed. You still feel like a fighter pilot, even at the slow
that's
speed.
What's really cool about it. The other thing about this one, the spare wheel is on the back. And I'm on Benedict Canyon, which is a windy area, and a guy popped on, he goes, hey, buddy, you lost the wheel. I said, yeah, okay, thanks. Appreciate it. I go, yeah, that's like the big joke. Then I come to the light, another guy goes, hey, you lost the wheel. I go, how's everybody? And then when I got to where I was going, I realized, oh, I did lose a wheel. The spare had fallen off somewhere in the road. I didn't know where it went. I searched for like a week because it was a hilly area. I was down, I never found it again. But it's just adventure, Morgan adventures. That's what's fun about these cars. That one was the latest and greatest when I got it in 2014. That has the V-twin engine from
S&S?
S&S, yeah.
2 liter.
Yeah, when we built a motorcycle from scratch, the frame, we used that. We got the very first S&S production motor, and it's a wonderful motor, and it puts out about 90 horsepower, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's got a Miata gearbox, it's got proper disc brakes, so it's wonderful to drive and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this is the latest version. Now
That's right.
They're no longer using motorcycle engines. This one has a Ford engine, 3-cylinder, right?
That's right, yeah, an inline 3. Not the first time we've used a Ford engine in a 3-wheeler.
Right.
And so it was...
Oh, sure, they had the little flathead.
That's it, the F-Series.
Yeah. What was that, about 18 horsepower or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And the Super Aero, the name Super comes from those decades as well. But that's exactly where we started. So, we had to look towards the next generation 3-wheeler.
Right.
Emissions regulations.
Right.
S&S no longer build these engines either, which was a big driver. And the first place we looked was motorcycle engines, obviously. Right. So we talked to, BMW. You could imagine a Boxer on the front, or a Triumph, or other British brands. The challenge we faced was a lot of modern motorbike engines have an integrated gearbox, sequential gears, no reverse, as you mentioned. It was a luxury back then. And that was the big challenge, overcoming that for us. So we started to look towards the Ford catalogue, a long working history with Ford on the 4-wheelers as well as the 3-wheelers. And they had this little inline 3. It's a tiny engine, it almost sits under the nose cone more so than under the bonnet.
How many cc?
It's about 1500 cc. So
1.5 litre?
Yeah, 1.5 litre.
Right.
It's about 120 brake horsepower.
Oh, that's not, well, that's more than this. That's certainly
quite a bit more, and you do notice it. All of the power's towards the top of the rev range as well. So you find yourself sort of chasing through the gears to keep
and
pushing.
What engine is that? What Ford product? Not one they sell here in the States.
I'm not sure it is featured in anything in the States. In Europe, I think there's a small people carrier and maybe a Fiesta.
Right. Okay.
Various engines. It's naturally aspirated, which is key. We didn't want, a lot of modern efficient engines, a turbocharged.
You don't want an efficient engine. That would be so un-Morgan-like. To have an efficient engine. Oh, God.
The idea of having a turbo coming in mid-corner on the 3-wheeler didn't really appeal. We wanted something quite linear. It's a great little engine. It's called a Dragon engine, which sounds cool too.
Right. And what is it? Is it a 2-valve, 4-valve, what?
It's a 4-valve engine, I believe.
Overhead cam?
And then we partner that with the same Miata gearbox that's in this car.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the same 5-speed, mechanical, short shift, feels great. Paired with the same Miata drivetrain. And on the back we have a new bevel box, which turns the drive 90 degrees. And then it's a belt for the final drive as well. But we also do a chain option too.
And what do most people get, the belt or the chain?
To be honest, the belt has less service intervals, but is a little bit noisier.
Yeah. The belt is noisier than the chain.
Interestingly, it has a sort of a...
Because this is a belt.
Yeah, it has a sort of hum to it. You can barely hear it over the engine on this one.
Yeah, I didn't find it to be.
No, I mean, I prefer the belt for what it's worth. The chain is a little quieter, so it's preference really. It's a no-cost option.
Okay, unique style. So the engine. So is this a structural member here? Does that hold the engine as well?
Yeah, that's right. So we've kind of started with this engine. The engine wanted to sit directly behind the centre line of the front wheels. One, for dynamic reasons, it's the best place for the centre of mass.
Right.
But two, for aesthetic reasons as well. I believe a Morgan always should be towed by its front wheels visually, a bit like a horse and chariot. And we didn't want all of the weight over the front wheels. There's other 3-wheelers like a Vanderhall and things that have that proportion. Right. We wanted something a little bit more behind the wheels.
Okay. I remember a car called the Tri-Hawk a number of years ago. Used this. Harley Davidson sold it. It really wasn't a Harley-like, but it had a Citroën French engine. Yeah. Same sort of thing. Engine was right up here in front, so it's actually pulling you. It's like you're on a rope and you're being pulled through corners.
Yeah, that's it.
It's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, we did everything we can to tuck it right behind there. In fact, to the point, there's a little pulley that's unused that would drive an air conditioning motor, which we've got no use for. Right. And we wanted to paint a spiral on it and just embrace it spinning out the front, but the homologation guys weren't too keen on that, so we've covered it up. But you can see it's right there.
Right. Okay.
So our next challenge was, a car engine's not designed to be seen. It's not a pretty object.
Right.
So we had to embrace this engine, picking up off the engine mounts. We also then needed to carry the corners, the suspension, the wishbones. And thirdly, we needed to guide air into the cooling pack. Of course, this is water-cooled, unlike your air-cooled previous generation. So we found ourselves having to do a lot of jobs with this front end. So we thought, why not embrace that visually? And these are solid cast aluminium as they come out of the mold. Right. They're cold to the touch. They're doing a lot of technical purpose. And I believe you can kind of read the car with your eyes, an engineer or not. You can kind of work out what everything's doing.
This has got to be the widest Morgan ever produced, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It is. And, starting from there, we work outboard with these very thin castings. We've got the radiators either side, which are obviously square. Had we put a lot more shape into the side of the car, we'd have then been compromising our turning circle.
Right.
So we started to think, what can we do with the sides of this car to embrace the flat nature that we wanted to create? And we started looking at diffuser plates on the sides of jets and the way they manage the air down the side of the fuselage. So we started looking at the way we can create these ducts and vents to pull air through the front of the car. And then we looked at how a lot of guys use their three-wheelers. A bit like motorcyclists, they go on adventures and tours and they get ready for trips and experiences, but they're compromised in terms of luggage space.
Right.
So we started looking at classic overland vehicles and Dakar cars and imagined maybe we can start strapping some panniers and racks.
Oh, so you put
embrace these areas.
Suitcases or bags, whatever.
That's right.
That's why this is here.
That's right. So you can strap all sorts to the side. You can also change the color of these and match the nose cone or put graphics on them. And they've become quite a centerpiece really, in lieu of having the exhaust running down the side.
Right, right. Okay. Have you got some bags we can put on this? See what
Yeah, we do. We do.
We'll try that in a little bit. Can we open it up a little bit to see what the engine is under here?
We can.
Okay, just undo these.
Just undo these quarter turns. They're a little bit fiddly. That's it.
Oh, you got it?
There we go, I've got it.
There's the overflow tank here for the radiator.
And that's right. Then you've got the engine sat directly underneath the nose cone.
Right.
The air filter's here, and actually the duct is on the underside of the bonnet. So when you pop the bonnet on, it guides the air through the nostrils and into that. And you can see here, aluminium, bonded, riveted tub.
Oh,
chassis.
so there's no wood. This is not the Morgan
there's
is
no
given Morgan. 100 years later, they said, maybe wood isn't the best thing for the front.
True story. We actually had a meeting, and the title of the meeting was, "Where are we going to put the wood?" And we closed it after 20 minutes. You know, the wood's got a lot of purpose in most Morgans, but in here it just didn't have a place.
They just weren't sure metal. We don't know metal is a tool just yet. Let's go with wood.
But rest assured, all handcrafted in the same Morgan factory alongside these, you know, just as we always have done. Bonded, riveted. In fact, the whole structure is aluminium. The body is actually structural. So I guess you could say this is Morgan's first ever monocoque.
Well, it's probably the safest, strongest Morgan they've ever built. I think it'd be fair to say, because it doesn't look like you'd have any flex, and you've got a much wider rear tire as well, don't you?
That's right. It's very stiff, much wider rear tire, much larger front wheels. We actually designed these tires ourselves because nothing was off the shelf available.
What side wheels are those?
So they're a 20-inch wheel, but we've got a lot of sidewall with a lot of balloon profile to it as well.
Okay.
And a very sort of vintage tread pattern, but a modern compliant rubber.
Yeah, this is one of those vehicles, you either get it or you don't.
Right.
You know, that's the fun thing about it. It's nowadays most vehicles are meant to appeal to everybody. Nobody hates it, but they don't love it. It's okay. I'll settle for it. I mean, this is a car, love it or hate it. I always quote my friend Bob Lutz when they did the Viper. Some people, so what do you say to people who hate it, say it's cartoonish looking? He goes, don't buy it. But the other half loves it. Oh, they think it's the greatest thing ever. So you sell it to them, and it's the same thing here. You either get three-wheeling or you don't. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's amazingly how stable it is. You think it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
The fun thing about this is when there's a pothole, you cannot not hit it. If you don't hit it with either wheel, you hit it with the center wheel. Yeah, so if you enjoy the pothole experience, it's fantastic, fantastic. But I mean, that's what's fun. And you know, sliding one of these, and I imagine with this stiffer chassis, you really can slide this one.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a lot more dynamic.
Like sliding this is a hey. but yeah, well, I guess it's progress, isn't it?
Yeah,
what do we have here? What is that?
So you'll notice these around the car. This actually, would you believe, after 115 years is Morgan's first patent. These clips, an innovative protection, an IP protective that you can protect for inventive inventions. And they essentially enable us to fit lots of different accessories to the car. Everyone has a little camera mount too, so you can pop a GoPro anywhere.
Oh, okay.
But these little clips, they enable different windshields. So you could have no windshield if you prefer a pair of goggles.
Oh, I see.
These low screens in different colours, or you could have a tall windscreen for touring.
Right.
And on the sides, you'll also see these clips, and they carry a luggage rack or a wax cotton bag or a hard suitcase.
Is there a top available too?
There's a tonneau cover.
Oh, so, but not a top.
Not a roof.
So you're always in the elements.
You're always in the elements, yeah. Everything's, you know.
And in England, it never rains there, so don't worry about that, yeah.
No, rain or shine. This one actually has also got a heater, you know, so you can have a footwell heater in here, which is a real luxury for us.
Boy, that's great. Is that the first Morgan with a heater?
First Morgan with a heater? No, perhaps not. Certainly the first three-wheeler with one.
Well, first three-wheeler with a heater.
Sure,
yeah, the
sure.
idea that, you know, maybe heat is good. Let's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So heated seats, a heater.
Well, that's got to be really great.
And you know what? When you have the tonneau cover on and you zip it down the middle and you've got the heated seats on and a warm jacket.
Oh, you've got heated seats as well.
Heated seats as well. It's quite a nice place to be, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something, isn't it? Okay.
And then inside, we also have a fully adjustable cockpit. So we do lots of different wheel sizes. You can have a wood rim steering wheel, 13 inches or 14 inches. This is a classic British motor liter.
Right.
And this has got reach and rake adjustment. The pedal box can also slide forward and backward.
Okay, so the seat is fixed.
The seat's totally fixed.
But you just, okay.
That's right. And that's important for keeping the occupant and the centre of mass for the people always in the same place.
And does this open in the back?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
In the rear, we've got a small stowage space. So a lot of the area is obviously compromised by the rear wheel travel. But you still have a couple of weekend bags or a shoe or something either side there. You've got a bit of space there.
Yeah, a shoe. Yeah. Just have an extra shoe.
I tend to put the tonneau cover in there.
Okay.
You know, when I'm not using that, and maybe just one small bag.
Yeah, very nice. Boy, it's so funny. You can't even really see the rear wheel.
No, it's tucked quite far forward, actually.
How does one get air on that tire?
Well, you have to get quite low to the ground, roll it forward and backward until you can see the valve.
Very good, and it got proper roll bar and everything here.
And these little lugs here carry a further luggage rack for the rear.
I see. I said they would plug in here.
So that's it. It plugs in there, and then if you wanted additional stowage on the top, you've got that.
And is there more storage in here?
Yeah, we've a few bits and pieces. We've got a little bungee net area here to stuff your gloves or your driving scarf.
Right.
And actually, there's another small cubby hole just hiding beneath the seats. Oh, look, another bit of wood.
And it's got wood. There you go.
So inside there, you can put all your accessories, your phone mounts, and actually Morgan's first ever sat nav as well. Look, that fixes just above the steering wheel there.
How does that fit in? How does that?
So it's just a small Allen key bolt. Just pops in.
That's the satellite navigation right there. Yeah. Oh, very good. I think we normally call that a compass. Yeah.
A digital compass.
Yeah. Very good.
Fuel tanks under the seats in this car.
What are you, about 7 gallons, something like that? 5?
Yeah, about 7 gallons.
Okay, all right. Well, and you're probably getting, what, 35, 40 miles per gallon?
Yeah, it's pretty efficient. You know, modern engine, it weighs 600 kilograms. What's that? 1,300 pounds.
That's the whole vehicle?
Yeah, the whole vehicle.
That's not bad at all.
So it's very lightweight, 120 brake horsepower, roughly.
I'd like to put the luggage bag, and you have your actual luggage in your bag, don't you? So let's put it on here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good.
All right. I love the heat. That's a good, because today it's actually quite cool today here in California.
Yeah, it's nice. Slow traffic to have a bit of warmth around your feet.
Yeah. But I'll let you fit it. I don't want to force it.
No, that's fine. I'll grab that.
Cool. And let's get your bag. Let's put your bag on here and show just how practical a vehicle this is.
So we pop these off. And that's that one away.
All right.
Then we have our handmade wax cotton panniers.
Oh, I see. I thought it clipped on to that while it was. Oh, I see. All right.
And that's us.
Is that locked in now?
We're good to go.
Put my jacket on. Let's go. Could it be more practical? Let's see. Let's go Morganiting. Torquey little motor. Lusty little engine.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's got a nice noise the higher it goes too.
Yeah.
7,200 RPM, I think.
Yeah.
All the power's at about 6.
Well, structurally much more rigid.
Yeah. You've got a lot more articulation as well, and there's more control in the suspension. I do find the seats quite comfortable though. They are
very comfortable.
It's quite a nice place to be.
Well, it feels like a British sports car, that's for sure.
You can imagine 200 horsepower.
Oh yeah, I think it's... Horsepower cures a lot of problems. Well, it's California, the perfect climate for this car.
Yeah.
You can drive it year round. You can plug your electric vest into the thing there.
That's right, yeah, heated gear.
Yeah.
They do a 6-speed box as well for this engine, but I don't think it needs it. I like the length of the gears.
Yeah, yeah.
Sits nicely in fifth. On the highway with a helmet on, you just duck down and get on with it. I love doing distance in them.
The fenders are a lot more secure than they were on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit more power than mine.
Yeah.
Well, the heater really works.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Oh, but it really makes
Just
a big...
takes the edge off.
Yeah. Well, it is totally different, but it still has enough Morgan in it.
It does.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's stiffer, it's faster, it's more powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as pretty as the early cars, but that's okay. I do like the new tires and wheels. I think they look great.
Yeah.
And the wider rear tire in the back really helps. Really makes a big difference. Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's come from the same factory, made by the same people, the same design team. It's every bit of Morgan, we think.
Well, it's probably your last chance of really getting a hand-built automobile.
Well, that's right, and you know, it appeals to a lot of motorcyclists as well because it's like a bike. You know, you're outdoors. It's
when the wife says you can't have a bike anymore.
Exactly.
Or you get too old. You get to be older. I always think I have one good last crash left. You know. And I thought my last crash, well, that's it. Well, no, I could probably crash one more time. So, you know.
That's one way of looking at it. Yeah, it's a bit more sociable than a bike, isn't it?
Yeah, you can have a conversation in it. And they're really wonderful to drive. But, I mean, you either get it or you don't.
That's right.
And if you get it, it's really a much better vehicle than the last generation. And it's just about the same price.
Yeah.
So you know, I think they're wonderful. I mean, I love my 14.
Yeah.
Just because it harkens back to the 1932.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it did. It was inspired by the 1930s Aero Supersport three-wheeler.
But this thing really is, I mean, you're just using modern techniques, modern building techniques.
Yeah.
It's really quite fun. You can go to the factory, meet the people that built your car, if that's important to you. To a lot of people, a car is an appliance. Yeah. But if you see it as kind of a living, breathing thing, then there's a lot of...
Every car is so different at Morgan as well. Yeah. I love seeing all the different colours coming through and trim combinations and graphics.
But if you can't have your car built at Goodwood, where they make Rolls-Royce, you go to Wales, you get the...
That's right.
Well, you really get a sensation of speed when you're driving this.
No.
And it feels very stable. Much more stable than the earlier cars. The nice thing about it, you can take it on the freeway with confidence.
That's right.
You can cruise at 65, 70, 80 miles an hour, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
And this windscreen is actually quite effective, not so much for you.
Not so much for me.
But for me, it's all going over my head.
You duck behind it and it's fine, you know. The car will do 130 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And during the development, we had to put the miles on the car. And we were sat in the high-speed bowl all day long, just at 130 miles an hour. And even at that speed, it feels stable.
Yeah. Is there a Valentino Balboni at Morgan, you know, one guy who's like a lead test driver?
Oh, yeah. It's just celebrated his 90th birthday.
90th birthday.
with such a small team, you all have to put the miles on them.
Well, Morgan only exists because of British law, right? The fact that in the British Isles, anything with less than 3 wheels was not considered an automobile, so you didn't pay the automobile tax. Is that still true?
They're a cycle car.
Yeah. Because there really is no logical reason for having a 3-wheel car, other than to avoid paying a road tax or something. Jonathan, thanks for bringing this. A lot of fun. Thank you, my friend. Really enjoy it.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Seemed like the perfect modern version of a Morgan employee. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little trip down Morgan Lane. If you're interested in one of these, there's dealers across the United States, and they're for 50 state legal. So have fun. I did. See you guys next week.